want to start with an anecdote, which is that many years ago, when I was in my early teens, I had this thing, I don't know where I got it from, of buying little gifts for people. They're just like tokens of friendship, or if I didn't have enough pocket money for an actual gift. Does anyone remember walnut whips? A single hazelnut with a little cone of chocolate around it, and I would give this to people. And about 10 years ago, I met someone that I really fancied. And realized that it was their birthday coming up very soon after, and I didn't want to be like too heavy-handed, and I went in search of a walnut whip, which you can't find anymore. And as I left the Tesco Metro on the way to see this person, I just saw out of the corner of my eye a Kinder Surprise. And this person looked at me with those eyes, the Puss in Boots eyes, you know the eyes on me, and just said, "How did you know?" And it was just like a part of me just cracked open in that moment. It was, oh, I think I get it now. Because I was a little bit like Ali, I was like, I'm not sure I really understand this dynamic or what it's about. So it is a sensitive topic. I know we've had some content warnings already. It is triggering for many. It's taboo even in a lot of kink circles because there's just so much misunderstanding around it. So just a reminder to please look after yourselves, breathe, step out if you need to. But if it's helpful at all, this is really looking at this dynamic from a very gentle, loving place. So I'll take a breath, is what I'll do. Thank you for breathing with me. So, I'm an intimacy coach and touch therapist, is what I'm calling it these days, which means I'm a trauma-informed bodyworker. I work with sex and sexuality, and this dynamic comes up so often in the work that I do. So I'm both professionally and personally. So this is very much my take on this subject, and there might be all kinds of differing views. And I think there's a room in the kink community for this sort of thing. I identify as a daddy. I identify as a daddy, I don't need any more than that. Okay. What is Big Little Play? It's strictly a role-play activity between consenting adults. It's play for adults, creating imaginary worlds that can be intimate, connecting, and healing. So all of my experiences can be summed up with this. For me, being a daddy is about holding a pristine space of nurturance and care. It's perhaps the closest we can come to an experience of unconditional love as adults engaging in consensual roleplay. Yes, it's a form of dominance and submission, but dominance as loving caregiving, which can be expressed in so many ways. Ultimately, it can provide a profound experience of total surrender. So Big Little Play, and there are less gendered versions, like Daddy is how I identify, so that's how I'm speaking to it, but there are mummies, there are non-binary caregivers, there are Zizis and Zhezhes and Zuzus. But Daddy is an archetype for me. Just as a mother is an archetype, a caregiver is an archetype. I'm looking now at how this dynamic works. Because it acknowledges that play is not trivial or frivolous, but an expression of free creativity. It can be super fun and super hot, but it acknowledges childhood as a time of innocence, of innocent sexual discovery. That there's a way that our childhoods our development, that there can be a healthy relationship to sexuality in those times when all we're doing is simply exploring what our bodies are and what our bodies can do. It plays as a dynamic, it plays with a spectrum of role play at one end to regression at the other. So it can go so deep. And it can trigger childhood trauma, for sure, often in unexpected ways. So trauma awareness is essential really for engaging with this kind of play. So what it's not, so I don't want to be in any way equivocal about this, so I'll be brief. It's explicitly not about any form of non-consensual interaction. It's not about being attracted to people of different ages, period. It's not pathological in nature. There's nothing wrong with you if you're attracted to this kind of play. And it's not in itself sexual, though it can be, if you choose. And it's not about unresolved daddy or mummy issues. That's what therapy is for. So it's typically disconnected from our experiences of our actual parents and caregivers. So what's in it for littles? Well, it's an opportunity to be carefree without responsibility, to not have to adult for a period of time, to feel held and contained. It can be permissive and allowing, including taboo, where fantasies can be played out as consensual adults. So a safe space to experience transgression. It's a way to access childlike play and playfulness, open-ended creativity without pressure of production or judgment. I'm thinking here of the shrinking childhoods that we were already having, many of us in this room, and younger generations experience more and more this pressure to be productive rather than expressing themselves as authentic individuals. So perhaps the biggest piece is the experience of unparalleled intimacy and connection. It's an experience of allowing yourself to fully open and receive love without transaction. So what's in it for bigs? Because you might think it sounds pretty one-sided for the holding and the caregiving big. Well, there's the gift of meeting the younger, more innocent version of your lovers or partners. But a big one for me in deconstructing my own masculinity is that it requires the big to be the best version of themselves. That includes developing access to empathy and the full spectrum of emotions, to be able to hold it for the other, to be able to hold someone who may be having a huge emotional response and to not be triggered by it. There's some deep inner work that needs to be done to be able to do that. There's learning around boundary setting and rules, getting good at defining and articulating and holding boundaries. There's accessing childlike play and playfulness through the mirror neurons. Any of you that may have children may recognize this. It's like something's firing in your own head as that vitality and joy becomes infectious. It's intimate and vulnerable AF. And again, the experience of unparalleled intimacy, open to giving love. So then, what is love? I think this is perhaps the best practical definition of love that I've come across from David Rico, Daring to Trust. Attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and allowing, the 5 A's. Which brings me to the developmental context and to trauma. So this has been really informed by the training that I did with Gabor Maté, where I really understood at a deeper level that yes, there is big T trauma. There is the trauma of war veterans, there's the trauma of abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse. There's little T trauma, which is the kind of trauma that so many of us that live in more marginalized communities experience perhaps on a daily basis, with microaggressions, for example. But there's also the trauma of what should have happened in our childhoods but didn't. So as children, these 5 qualities were either withheld from us by parents managing their own traumas, or received inconsistently, leaving us feeling confused, learning that love is conditional. So just to run through these briefly: attention, attending to, giving our full presence and awareness. You must remember that sense of really feeling fully in someone's gaze, fully in someone's presence, being held in that way. Acceptance, being totally accepted with love, respect, and understanding. Fully accepted. Appreciation and expression of being seen and valued. Affection, energy, and feeling of love. And allowing you to be who you are with no expectations or demands. The boundaries might still be there. It's that piece around, as children, becoming ourselves, becoming our most authentic selves. So quickly do we experience the shutting down of that. We so quickly experience that we're not right as we are, that we need to be a different way or a certain way. So that's the allowing piece. So to come to the healing potential, it's about receiving exactly what was wanted and needed, especially in childhood. Or it could be to re-experience a moment of unconditional love in receiving or giving. And for many people to experience unconditional love for the first time. Or it could be to experience something never felt before, a different gender perhaps, without judgment or shame, perhaps as it should have been. For me, as a man, it includes something I touched on earlier, to be the best version of myself, to hold pristine space. It makes me a better and safer man in the world. And ultimately, experiencing and becoming the parents we wanted and deserved, I became the father that I never had for myself. Thank you. Claire Phillips on all the socials, and there's also a book outside that I contributed a chapter to, which is an incredible, incredible book about the diversity of life and sex, including disability and menopause and the trans experience, all kinds. It's just beautiful. Have a look, please.